Hey, everybody out there at Global Resources for Men. Today, I have the great privilege of getting to connect with my new friend, Anthony Strayhorn, located in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States of America. And we are going to be having a deep and fantastic conversation touching on major points such as values, alignment, sexual energy, transformational coaching having to do with health and wellness, perhaps even what it's like to be a new father, as Anthony is with his beautiful little daughter that he has recently, made, because that's what they do sometimes, I hear. Anthony, thank you so much for showing up here today and offering your wisdom and your time. And as a transformation coach for health and wellness, I know you are super busy as well as doing your personal training. So thanks for showing up.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you for opening up the space for this.
Very, very welcome. So we have somebody watching. If you would like to jump on in the Zoom link, you are totally welcome to, or we are also just happy to have you here listening to us today. So Anthony, tell us a little bit more about who you are. Tell us about your journey.
Wow. I'll just go from where I currently am to some of the journey. So currently I'm a professional life coach as well as a personal trainer that really helps to help people with creating more clarity, more conviction, and more courage to experience life, to have a deeper sense of awareness around your values, your truths, your understanding of how your environments are creating and shaping your life each and every day, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, physically. And in essence, in all of that, I'm helping you just remember who you already are, remembering your greatness, remembering your completion, that you don't need to be fixed, you're not broken, nothing needs to be nothing needs to be done to you to perfect you. You're already perfect. So those were kinds of the things that people held space for me for many iterations in life. So I feel honored and inspired to share that kind of experience with others in the world. And
fantastic, definitely needed.
Yeah, sure. And there's so much more. So before all that, I was a chemical engineer working in corporate America for 7 years, went to college for it. I've traveled the world. I've been to a lot of places and I've seen a lot of things, and I will continue to see a lot of things and travel more. So what brought me here to this space now where I'm at is wanting more deep, intimate, empowering, loving, joyful connections with people in all kind of capacities, particularly around things where we are bonding, whether to dance, whether to be eating, traveling, whatever. So.
No, that's beautiful. And I know you do ecstatic dance, which is super cool. And I think it's so funny that I had randomly hopped on a call with a different guy in a different state. Yeah. And normally, and he had actually been dancing with you. Jesse, yeah, and I just think it's so funny how small the world is.
And we actually met yesterday. I had lunch, had an amazing conversation. Amazing. So right here. Thank you for that introduction. Appreciate it.
You are very welcome. I'm so glad, and it's funny how people can bounce around and then end up in the same city together and get to collaborate and connect. And we'll actually have Jesse T being interviewed in, I think, a couple weeks, but we will have that out for everybody. And yeah, just an epic human being. I always feel so privileged and blessed to have so many incredible men that are part of this group, right? And how they're able to just step forward and vulnerably share and support one another and step into those spaces.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, we're out here. People are there. It's just bringing the connection there. That's why I'm pro connection, pro connection, and feel like there's layers to continue to remove so that we can make those connections more sustainable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And on that point, like in the work that you do, especially surrounding masculinity, what do you feel like men are struggling with in the world today, and how can you serve them in creating that bridge of connection and communication?
Oh yeah, well, one of the most important things is the emotional well-being, and that stems with vulnerability as a root thing. Managing traumatic life experiences, and on the adulthood front, as it relates to understanding the roots of some of the triggers related to either running from your situation, abandoning things, fighting with this emotional space of anger, or that it deals with, being rigid, being tight, inflexible, because you're trying to protect yourself, you're trying to be guarded. And all that has a lot to do with the social programming of what it means to be a man, And it's interesting to see how it looks in different people, different men in different cultures, from different socioeconomic factors. And I think those are some of the areas that men struggle in. I know for me personally, I didn't realize it, but my 2 ex-girlfriends ago, she would tell me that you don't really show your emotions that much. And that was like over 10 years ago. I was like, what does that mean? I didn't even really get that. I was like, what do you mean? I communicate, I talk, I do things. So I didn't really see that part of myself. I didn't really see how guarded I was.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was interesting. So to, fast forward, I'm like, wow, I was guarded and didn't even realize it. And I feel like it was more of like in certain situations where it really came out more so this like everyday kind of thing. So that's what I struggle with, being guarded at times, and also feeling like a lone wolf at times. Like I don't really get it. They don't really understand. They don't really understand what it means to be at this level or be in this space. Just thinking that it was only what I was experiencing, and not the idea that maybe somebody else, another man, another person might be like going through the same thing, literally, but they might be thinking the same thing. So that's why we never come together and have a discussion.
Yeah.
As I did.
Can you give an example of like something that was really detrimental that occurred at the effect of you having those different viewpoints?
Well, you're great point. So my ex-girlfriend, at one point, I would say about a year, we were together for 3 years. At one point, there was something to me that was like, all right, this is great. This is beautiful woman here in many levels, in many ways. However, there is a foundational root misalignment here, because my truest, authentic expression, at least in this life, was not a monogamous man. Never. And I would say I never really have been, in the sense like I really felt that from my deepest sense.
Yeah.
Like, I have been monogamous socially, or been in like on the front, on the surface, but deep down, no. So that just kind of created a rift, because I wasn't truly being authentic. I was being manipulative. So the antithesis of authentic can create manipulation.
Yeah.
Or just, yeah. That was what was happening, and that just caused friction and mistrust, and eventually we broke up. And I knew at that point that my next relationship would have to be one where this person would have to have a mutual interest in a lifestyle like mine, or it wouldn't work, because I didn't want anybody to be in a relationship with somebody, and they want to be with me and they thought they would just like conform to my lifestyle model, just to
or think that it was just a phase and they could change you if they just waited it out long enough.
Oh yeah, that was that, or just thinking that this kind of lifestyle, like, if that's not for you, that's fine, it's cool, we'll just be friends, we don't need to be like deep, close, intimate lovers, because that's a root, a foundation that has to be aligned first.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to create from the root of alignment. If you don't, then the offspring of that is going to be shit. It's like you got to treat the soil first, then the tree, or the flower, or the plant, whatever that is. So that's how that showed up. And it was definitely some moments I knew I was out of integrity, and I just rationalized it whatever way. And it is what it is, So
do you feel like that ever created like physical somatic issues inside of you by not being in integrity with your value system?
Oh yeah, I could feel it. I could feel like a void. I could feel like a heaviness. I could feel this like I could feel like something was just off. I didn't feel like I was empowered. I was off. I wasn't in my power.
Yeah.
I wasn't empowered. I was in a falsehood. I had this dissonance going on, a split. You know, when you're not in your power, not being authentic, you can't be whole. You're like over here and over here. And that in itself is a conflict. When there isn't a unit, the opposite, the antithesis of conflict is unity. So there was two different wars. It was a war going on inside, a battle. And so no one's ever at peace in battle. So
no, for sure. It makes me think, since you're also a personal trainer, in the people that you've trained, and if you've seen them not be in alignment with their value system, do you see that they struggle more so to get the physical gains that they're looking for?
Yeah, especially when it comes to trust and surrender to the coaching, to what is being offered, what they've attracted into their life. Like, it's just helping them see their power.
Yeah.
How they can create their life. And then we start to get into the habits, like the tactics or the strategies or the practices. Yeah, it shows up. Oh yeah, because if your value system doesn't reprioritize, then that might not be effective for creating the results you want. So if you're not prioritizing commitment, consistency, and accountability for yourself, then those values are not going to be aligned. That's not going to be helpful for you in terms of certain transformation shifts that you want to experience. So it's just having that awareness and commitment to it, and it's a surrender. I think that's a big thing, Alicia, is surrender. It's just taking a breath and leaning in, moment by moment, taking a breath, lean in, and just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. Why else? Why would I not else? What am I gonna lose? You're definitely not gonna win. You're not gonna gain anything by not moving. That's for sure. But you can see where that's happened. You can see a lot of people haven't leaned in. They stay in their quiet place, in their flower pot, never want to sprout. And it's not a bad thing. It's just an experience.
Absolutely. And I think surrender is a really great word, because I think both men and women oftentimes align the concept of surrender with being weak, being wrong, or being basically being a pushover, right? And that they're not standing in their power if they're surrendering it and their why is lost.
Yeah.
So if you want to speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, about the why being lost.
Or any part of that, just like surrender in general, and the concept of men oftentimes being thinking that being in that warrior space, potentially, especially, that they can't surrender without losing. Yeah,
it speaks to how the balance of the energies of being yin and yang. I'm just gonna, for the concept of making reference points, masculine and femininity, there's a hyper inflated amount of energy towards being a protector, being independent, being a warrior. Those are great. And I also think that sometimes when you're that all the time, this gets shut down.
Yeah,
this gets shut down. And so the relationship or the perspective to that gets a little perverted to it being, oh, I'm weak, I'm not strong, I can't handle it. You know, I don't have the wherewithal, I don't have the capacity. And then you start to create an identity around that. You know, the one of you being so super, you tout yourself so much, so bravado, so hyper, like chest pumped up, all that.
Peacocking.
Yeah, that you forget to actually drop into the body and to be on the ground and be in the heart too. You know, like the dance is up and down, it's left and right, it's in and out. It's not just stagnant, one dimensional, you know, it's all around. So, and so I think there is definitely that. I feel like that's a cultural thing in America too. I think we're so big on being tough. Because if you think about the words we use, at least every day, like we're on the grind. We out here hustling, right? We're on the grind, we're hustling. What do you feel? You don't feel softness. You don't feel openness. You don't feel a safe space when you grind and hustling.
You don't feel flow?
No, it sounds like you're in a prison. Grind and hustling. It sounds like you're in a survival mode. Yeah, you might be making money, but at what exchange? That's the thing. For every choice, there is an outcome. So we have to be aware of like how our choices and behaviors are creating other things on the other side of that. Like there's always two sides of the coin. Yeah, you might be an Olympian, but if you know about a lot of Olympians struggle mentally. Yeah. So you don't see that part. And this is real talk. There's a documentary called The Weight of Gold. Talking about highlighting a lot of the gold medal Olympians and how a large percentage of them had contemplated suicide. Some of them even attempted it.
Yeah.
It's not what you think.
The pressure is just so unforgiving. Merciless.
I didn't know about some of the stuff that they go through. I was like, who would want to do that? like consistently, but hey, everybody's different. It's just an experience. It's not wrong or right, good or bad. It's just an experience.
That's right.
Who am I to tell people what experience they can have or not? Nobody.
Yeah, it's just whatever your journey is supposed to be. That's why I love the abundance mindset and promoting so many different types of coaches and different modalities here in the two groups that I have, because it's not for me to tell anybody which person is going to be the right person for them. Or if any of them will be the right person for them, right? Because you're just at your part of the journey, and whoever you pull in, that's what you're supposed to experience at that point in time. It doesn't need to make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I actually, a couple of weeks back, I can't remember if it was a live or a post I put on my social media channels, but I was talking about how the idea of abundance around, like, you don't need to worry about the idea of like offending people or people being pushed away and all that, because you'll attract those that are on your vibe. Those that won't.
Yeah, they'll go find somebody else that will serve them. And that's wonderful that there are so many people out there doing the work, that there's literally somebody for everybody. It's just a matter of finding them. And that's great. And like serving somebody from the most holistic aspect possible, because you could serve somebody on a basic level and get it done. But if you know somebody that specializes in something and has a personality that would maybe meet that person better than yours, like, send that person over there.
For sure.
We want to serve the people at the greatest level that we can, not just serving people because they're another person for us to, put money in our pockets.
For sure. And for me, I was highlighting this around more so the content that we put out, or things we don't say or withhold in our social media.
That's beautiful too. No, and I think that's especially important with some of the more taboo topics that we bring forward. Such as polyamory. There's so much confusion about polyamory, and a lot of people look at it in a very judgmental aspect. Oh yeah.
And yeah, they do. And then it's and I get it. I understand it. It's just it's a taboo thing in some ways, in some places, but if you really understand it, it's always been what human beings have naturally existed as. We learned the constructs of monogamy. We're not born into that. We learned that. We are not monogamous by nature. And that doesn't make it bad or wrong. It doesn't make monogamy less or polyamorous less or more. It doesn't put polyamory at a higher state. It's just saying we have come to create meaningful models of living based on whatever needs and wants we want to yield and what we feel serve us in this experience, period. That's very simple. So that means, in essence, that everybody's creating their life experience as to whatever needs they really want to experience more of. Some people need more security. They need more familiarity. They need more consistency. They need more of the same. That's fine. Everybody needs some basic level of that. And another need above, or say as well with that, is uncertainty, variety, spontaneity. They want some of that.
They want people, to be engaged on different levels. And I think some people who are more asexual or people that are highly introverted naturally do want more monogamous relationships, because that might be just what their bandwidth calls for. They're like, I am totally content and happy and just want one person to get to focus on as my companion.
For sure.
Right.
And that's cool.
And that's not necessarily society saying like, this is the construct that we should fall in. That's just their natural personality and gestalt.
Yeah. Yeah. However, a lot of people do conform to a societal custom or
totally agreed. Totally agreed. I was just saying, like, on the other end, I was just, because you were just like, everybody is like this. And I was like, well, there's some people that might just really, I've met people who are literally just like, one person is more than enough for me to handle. And I would never want to deal with more of that, regardless of the other people involved.
For sure. I get it. And that's the thing. It's, you when you understand that you can choose that, not that you have to do it.
Right. Everything should be a choice. The freedom of choice is incredibly important.
Yeah, it starts in our language. I have to versus I choose to.
You and I talk about this all the time, I feel like.
That's a massive distinction. It's the difference between being a victim and being a warrior of change for yourself. That's the night and day right there. It's in the language. Our language is fucking everything. And so yeah, it is a topic, and there's a lot more progressive conversations around non-monogamy, polyamory, polygyny. There's a lot of other taboo relationship models which have been around. They've always been around, but they're now being more readily accepted as potential ways that we are not like creating these kinds of like attacks towards, because a lot more celebrities, a lot more people. It's just a lot more of a, and I'm going beyond just people talking about being swingers, which is that's not a problem. If that's your idea, it's cool. But actual people living, like having day-to-day, relationships, where it's more than just two people.
Yeah.
So
I think at the end of the day, it really just comes down to having healthy communication and respect and integrity and boundaries and consent.
Yeah.
No matter if you're in a monogamous relationship or a polyamorous one.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
I tell people all the time, it's like monogamy doesn't save you from having relationship challenges at all.
For sure not.
There's certain things that no matter what kind of relationship you have, you're going to experience these kinds of dynamics. They're part of it. It's just part of life. It's okay. It's like beautiful to go through some shit with somebody or go through shit with multiple people, because you grow a lot. You can grow a lot if you really start to like see what's underneath all of it. See like the silver lining in the breakdown that creates the breakthrough. All that, you really can see so much in it. And ironically, there's so much. There's on the other side of going through a very like heated argument or breakdown, a massive relationship breakdown. To me, I get this euphoria sometimes, like, woo, that's great. It's like a high of like excitement, like I feel more centered, I feel more solid, I feel more like I have this like another uptick of wisdom, within myself that I'm like, I can walk and view in life. So
that's
great. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. You have a bunch of different things that we had touched on potentially talking about in regards to health and wellness. And we looped in the veganism, which I thought was really interesting because we haven't actually talked about veganism at all on the podcast. So if you want to touch on those three topics a little bit more, like whatever is calling to your heart in this moment.
Yeah, well, health is definitely a thing right now in terms of the wide array of opinions and thoughts and understandings of it around the world, especially in a very prime and potent atmosphere around COVID-19. And so just to let you all know, I've been vegan for 20 years. I've been in holistic living for the same amount of time.
That's why your skin is so great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hydrate a lot. Hydrate my skin. I use a lot of shea butter too. It helps keep the skin. There's a lot of vitamin D in it. Vitamin D is great for your skin. Excuse me, not vitamin D. Well, that is too. Actually, vitamin E.
Vitamin E.
Both of them actually. D and E are both great for your skin. You need both. I was saying all that. So I've always like had an inquiry about like what's deeper than what I'm being taught. Or is there something more to that statement or to that discussion? I've always liked to climb trees. I've always liked to like climb on shit or dig up stuff or pull something apart. So that naturally made me like a person with the personality of wanting to be a scientist. I'm very like into science, very much into science, how that stuff works, how it comes together, how it breaks apart, what makes it do this, what makes it do that, why is who, what, how, when, all that. I love all that. And I'm also like, I can surrender all that and be in a flow. That's the part I've been cultivating the last 20 years. So that journey started in 2002 when I got into metaphysics, really studying like very ancient metaphysics, like the Kabbalion, which is like ancient Hermetic philosophy, stuff like causality, polarization, gender, this all kind of things around like principles that guide and like move the universe in what we see or what we experience. And so that just awakened an inquiry around veganism after going to a lecture from this naturopathic holistic health doctor as a moment to listen to what he was talking about and share some information about his books that he had been writing. And then when I listened to him, I was just like, I felt like I was Neo in the Matrix, in the first Matrix, and Morpheus helped pull him out of the Matrix. And ever since then, it was just like, it's like I had an awakening. It's like a rebirth. The Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising. And that started me on a massive like quest to continue to unearth and understand and unlearn and just fall in love in life in a new way. So fast forward, I've been into holistic healing, you know, with regards to like everything from the energetic healing that we can do from like Reiki, from like all kind of like laying on hands, massage work, tantra work, tonics, herbs, spices, essential oils. And I'm vegan, so I don't eat a lot of kinds of foods, but I also eat a lot of very healthy, savory, tasty foods too. So exercise, I've always been into physicality. You know, as you can tell, I'm like, he does something with his body.
Yes.
He does something. And so I love to dance. I love to hike. I love doing a lot of body weight exercising. I love running. I like swimming, jump roping.
I miss jump roping. God, I miss jump roping.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Can't do it because my back, but
yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a great one. So, and then low impact stuff too. I love stretching. I love yoga. I don't do as much yoga, but I do a lot of stretching, a lot of like opening body opening exercises. So saw that. I just like always been into like whatever I'm called to move to, and like I love that. It's like, oh, that's great. I like that. Just let me at least try it. I want to try it. I want to experience it. Jump off the cliff. At least I know that, I didn't like it rather than just not doing it and not knowing. To me, that's like I could never get with that. I was so rebellious against like not trying or trying to stay safe all the time. Like there's a point where I get safety. It's a basic need. However, like just living there your whole life, it's just around that corner is a bench called resentment. And it's just gonna have your name right there. Like, hey, come sit right here. We have a long conversation. That's what happens. A lot of people just choose to like play it safe. I feel like they resent life later because they didn't go for it. They didn't really live the full expression of what they can potentially live.
So how do you help people create a bridge from that place of fear and complacency into like, oh, I'll like dip my toe in the water and see what this stretch stone looks like?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we learn best from seeing examples modeled for us. So I help people with seeing what's possible through connecting with people, helping with resources, me modeling it myself, talking about my own journey, sharing my day-to-day, daily, weekly experiences where I might have like push myself to my edge or gone over the edge so I can like create a new edge. You know, all that stuff is, all those are ways in which we model the possibilities. All I can do is model. I don't do anything to anybody. As a matter of fact, they do it. I ask questions and I help hold space for them to like choose what's coming up for them and what they feel convicted and courageous about. That's it. They build the bridge. They build the connection. I'm just helping them with the map. Like, okay, let me give you a little bit of pointer here. And you still have to choose whether or not you want to take that pointer from me. Because you're not going to be a victim to me. I'm not going to be a victim to you.
That's right.
Because nobody wins. Nobody wins. And the only thing that's left over is you know, feeling like someone is the villain and someone's a victim.
Yeah.
No one wins. So we're heroes on both sides here. You know, you ever heard of the whole drama triangle thing? You know about that? Okay, there's three. It's a whole thing. It's just a model of understanding how relationships can be at times. There's always a victim, there's always a villain, and there's always a hero.
Interesting.
So it's a really cool model. A lot of life coaches and transformation people, really, a lot of relationship coaches know this thing very well. And it's a really cool. I learned about it last year, and I was like, oh, I like that. You know, so this is a great way to navigate where you can see yourself in a relationship triangle at times, or in a space with somebody. You being a victim, or you being the villain, or you being someone's hero that's trying to save the victim. Sometimes the hero is trying to save the victim, and that's not always the most healthiest thing to do. So anyway, say all that. We're talking about health. I've always felt that we have the power within ourselves, Alicia, to change our biology. Mm. Yes, there is science that shows that your thoughts can literally change whatever genetic predispositions you have, whatever kinds of like challenges, illnesses, diseases in your body. Now, is it easy? No, but it's possible. It is very much possible. Now, the question is, the thing that comes up is like that resistance to be like, that can't be true. That there's a limit to that. There's got to be a limit. And I'm like, at a certain level of awareness, there is a limit. That's all I say. So it's so interesting to see when people's perspectives and paradigms are fucking shattered. Like shattered when they see like someone sharing about an experience that they were so convicted that wasn't the truth. It's like, interesting. Just like in The Matrix. I always go back to that movie.
It's one of the greatest movies out there.
It is. It's such...
I understand the first one at least. Like I don't know about the other two. But...
Oh my gosh, the first one was. I watched them all last year just because I was like, I'm in that space. I'm like, I know this movie understands me, and I know I understand it. And it was just like I was watching it like in a whole nother way.
Yeah, no, it is cool to get to like rewatch movies years later. Yeah,
for sure.
In a different headspace as you have evolved, and sometimes you're disappointed because you're like, wait, I thought this was funnier. Yeah,
you know, it all depends on where you're at and you know what's coming through that filter, you know, through your lens in that moment. So yeah, for sure. So yeah, you know, health is something that's a top value for me, and I feel like it has not been, as a collective in this country, a top value for people.
Yeah.
Not until it's jeopardized or there's a risk of our health being taken away or compromised to the point where we really have to do so much to try to get it back that we just sometimes just give up and relinquish it. And I feel like that's happening in the world with some people as well. And I also feel like the perfect storm is now upon us because of the ingredients and the way in which we have decided to treat the earth, treat animals, treat water, the air, the water, everything. Have you noticed, this is interesting, nature has a unique way of manifesting destruction in all kinds of elements. Fire, floods, So forest fires, floods or hurricanes. Land is tornadoes and earthquakes. Am I missing an element? Let's see, I got fire, water, wind. Wind is tornadoes, dust storms, things like that. Mudslides. And through the experience of animals, you have animals that have certain kinds of pathogens, also known as viruses, that we cannot deal with.
Plagues.
Plagues.
The locusts.
Locusts. So nature has a way, nature's way of scrubbing and detoxing the parasites. And we look at it as like, oh, it's the government not protecting us. Like, no, it's actually bigger than that. It's so much bigger than what you think it is. Nature has a way of getting rid of its parasites. And that sometimes usually means parasites that are not as, they don't have as much fortitude yet or anymore. So it's not personal when people are dying. It sucks because on the human level, emotional, we feel connection. And I don't ever want to negate that death is easy or should be just be spiritually bypassed, because that's bullshit. I'm saying that when you start to see it in all levels, you can find a more centered level of peace with like, this shit's going to happen regardless. And you're not going to stop something that is superior biologically from infiltrating our bodies inside and out. So you can just stop with that. And when you do stop, you actually relax and actually heal your body because you're not in a stressful, fearful state so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on, helping people with emotional regulation, which is really helpful for coaches. And then just how we balance our body. So they can, for instance, one of the ways that you balance your body is through being vegan, right? Yeah. And so if people are starting to try and do a different format for their lives that they're used to being carnivores, what would you be like some of the suggestions in the beginning part of that journey? Talk with you, like you're like pick up the phone or like email me on Facebook.
Now, I point people to a lot of resources. I don't like to just be the only, I'm not a one-stop shop. I don't like that. As you know, I don't believe in one of anything.
Yeah. No, I know.
Well, that just translates to like, I don't believe there's one answer to anything. As a matter of fact,
it's just like a little bit of advice, little bit of advice from you for the beginning of the conversation. If people were starting to contemplate, like, why would I want to become vegan? How does that positively impact my body? And what are some beginning things that I could do to try and help that transition be easier on my body?
Sure. Yeah. What I would do is utilize YouTube as a resource to figure out some of the best ways you can eat. There's all kinds of books out there. Just go to a Barnes and Noble or a bookstore, and there's hundreds of books on veganism. I mean, there's a whole plethora. One of the things I would like to know when people, usually I like to know is when people make that transition, why are you doing it? What's the bigger why? Is it for the sake of just animals or being healthy or all of it? For me, it was for all of it because you can't separate them. To me, health is everything. It's the collective. It's the collective healing of everything, every animal, every person, every organism. So it's all for everything. It's not just about me being healthy for myself. So I would like to just, ask people like, what is that? So for them to answer that for themselves, well, what are you doing it for? Well, is it a spiritual experience for you? Is this something that you, you are still understanding yourself to expand upon? So, because veganism is not just a lifestyle. To me, it's a spiritual way of living. A spiritual way of living. It's not just a lifestyle. It's not just a fad either. I think unlike keto and like paleo and like Atkins, those are like diets. Those are not really lifestyles. Because a lot of them don't have sustainable. They're not sustainable for a lot of reasons. Because of the imbalances of what you do take, you don't. It's just like there's a lot of extremes versus a lot of like small variations, so where you could then figure out what formula works for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why most people don't sustain off those kinds of diets. And again, you can reach out to me. I give you some firsthand advice. There's a whole bunch of coaches out there. Those vegan lifestyle coaches, vegan health coaches, all kinds. Figure out what one you like. I tend to like more like the California style, like vegan coaches because they're more like my energy. However, whatever. The first people I started learning about veganism from was actually like southern Black holistic farmers.
Cool.
And I'm from the Southeast originally, and I could relate to them in terms of how they used to cook, how they used to eat, how they made that transition. So that was, those are my resources, my mentors.
Oh, that's cool. And it's a spiritual way of living, just like I feel like ecstatic dances and the consciousness there and how you're embodying emotions and letting things move through you. Do you want to just briefly talk about ecstatic dance for people that are out there that are like, what on earth is ecstatic dance?
Yeah. Well, ecstatic dance to me is this opportunity to really to tap in and let go and express yourself in ways that you may have been holding in, or you need to express, communicate something, a feeling outwardly, to give it space to breathe, to give it a moment to be exercised. And ecstatic dance opens that space up for us. It brings us to a higher level of our abundant nature, which is love. You're connected to everything. That you are so unified that it fucking is overwhelmingly joyful. It can bring you so overwhelmingly joyful because you get so open that you don't even realize how you see, like, the connection is so overwhelming. And so it brings us to a higher state of ecstasy. So ecstasy dancing, ecstatic dance.
And so, is it like partner dancing, or is it a single person? Can it be both?
It's all of it. It can be whatever you choose. It's whatever format you want to be in. Usually there's this let's say a rule or an expectation that you do not talk to anybody, that you just talk through your dance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you don't talk. If you do talk, you have to go off the dance floor. They want the space of where everyone is dancing to not be one where people are talking to each other. And so it helps to facilitate a certain energy.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's super cool. And I'm sure there's lots of breathing that it's like the in out of dance.
Oh,
you have a breathing exercise for us for this evening.
Yeah, I mean, one very simple, basic thing is just taking like one deep breath in for like 4 seconds, or just like take a deep inhale, just for like 4 seconds. Hold it for like 4 seconds, and then release it for like 7. And then pausing for like 3, and just repeating that. That right there, that one breath itself is like a massive reset on clarity and bringing more calmness to your body, just like recentering yourself, just feeling more like refreshed and renewed. That's easy, simple, basic, uber, like, practical.
Are people trying to breathe more from their diaphragm or from their bellies?
I would suggest breathing more from your belly. When you inhale, your belly goes out. And then you exhale, it comes all the way in. I mean, just really push it out, push it out, push it out, push it out, push it out. That's the form of breathing I normally. This depends on also what you're trying to do with the body. Trying to heat the body up, cool the body off, calm the body.
Interesting.
The body. Like, if you want to excite the body, in and out through your nose real fast. If you really want to get your body, you can get some Kundalini yoga going on. You take your palms like this and you point them out 45 degrees and you do this. You do that for like 3 minutes, and when you're done with that, your arms are like tingling. You feel like somebody just shot like a shock of lightning through your body, because you move so much oxygen through your body. Sometimes you can feel lightheaded, but energized at the same time.
Fascinating. So like when they're doing the calming breaths, like in through the nose, out through the mouth, for how many minutes do you feel like? Oh
man, I mean, try it for 5 minutes. I mean, or just 2 minutes. Just even doing it 2 minutes, very slow and intentional. Oh, your body will just like settle down so much. Go from being like to like, So, and that's great, because we need that balance. We need that counterbalance of like coming down from being on the go to like somewhere soft and pleasant and like ease. So, breath work is great. I would suggest that for sure. I mean, just stretching your neck, just kind of turning it left and right, pointing your head all the way up with your face facing the sky, coming down, back up, going very easy. And at the same time, you could be taking some deep inhales and exhales. That stuff like that is just really restoring to our body. We need those things, reach, I do a lot of stretching with my shoulders because there's a lot of things I can carry on my shoulders, right, emotionally and mentally, because I'm also like engaging with people. And no matter what, when you coach people, when you care for people, when you put your love and heart into people, you exchange that energy onto you too. It comes. So that's what you take on. It's important to know how to wipe that off.
Yeah.
When you're no longer in that space, it's like, okay, that's not mine. That's not mine.
No, absolutely. That's incredibly important to understand, like, what is yours and what is someone else's, and how to have those healthy boundaries.
For sure. People. We got to have that because we model what it looks like to have a healthy life. So we're not doing that by not creating healthy guidelines or boundaries for us. We're not teaching people how to treat us, and we're not teaching people about how they can treat themselves.
That's right.
Or how to be treated by somebody by asking what you want or what you don't want. I want that. I don't want that. And I don't have to feel guilty about it. No guilt, no shame, no fear, no judgment, all that bullshit.
That's awesome. And for people who have really enjoyed your conversation and your energy and the things that you bring to the table, do you have any programs going on right now, or how can people contact you? Tell us more, Anthony.
Yes, so I have a one-on-one coaching experience that I take people through around a couple different tiers where we really explore some deep levels of the interpersonal things that we want to become unstuck from. We want to minimize blocks and challenges, and just have some better tools mentally, emotionally, and socially to navigate life. So having more clarity, having more conviction, having more understanding of what is creating our life, like through our language, through our environments, through the things we value and prioritize, through where we work, through who we are sleeping with, through who we are hanging and living life with, all that. Just getting a snapshot of all the pieces, and then starting to see how can we like practice, maybe make some shifts here and there, so that the collage of life suddenly starts to look slightly different.
Yeah.
The ship of our life that was normally going one direction has now decided to go 10 degrees slightly different. So now it is going 10 degrees slightly different. This is 6 months away from the ship that was here. So it's a huge difference. Yeah. But it doesn't take a lot. Just some small, intentional, consistent tweaks. Here, nothing, because the massiveness will come as a result of being consistent, being in a space of a bigger why, having imagination of what you can create, all that. So I help people with all those different things. And I use, gratitude journals, magic meaning moments in life where you're empowered with yourself, others in life. There's a number of things. It's not just one thing, it's everything. So if you're like, what's the one thing you use? Everything is the one thing. Because the everything is all together.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just how I use it. It's how I use the tool. There's like tools that have multiple bits to it, like Phillips head, flat head, or different types of heads, or different types of pieces, or joint connections. Like, let me just see what works. There is nothing that there's not one solution. There's not one solution to anything. When you see that, it's everything, and it becomes, we can play. So I help people get back to being able to play too. We can play. Like, playing in life is more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It's healing to play, to feel like you're playing in life versus like, I'm working, I'm grinding, I'm hustling. That's not playful. That's like diminishing, So that's what I do. I have a website, anthonystrayhorn.com. I can put it in the chat here. I don't know if that will.
Oh, no, I can put it over in the chat in the
live
later.
So it's anthonystrayhorn.com. You can click on my services. You can see all the different things I do. I'm a public speaker. I've spoken at a number of corporate events, from startups to mid-sized businesses, seminars, conferences, workshops, a personal trainer as well. If you live in Atlanta, I will do virtual, but under very special circumstances. I've done virtual before, but there's nothing like feeling it in the presence of each other. It's totally different. I'm all about energy. Energy is never can be replaced. So let's see, social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as strayfit.lifestyle. That's my Instagram tag. You can also just type my name in, anthonystrayhorn.com. You can find me there too, or that way. Let's see. Right now, what I'm putting out there is that I am experiencing and creating more opportunities to have speaking engagements with people in person in different places around the world, around the US, where there is a fostering of love, connection, more self-awareness, more joy, more experiential wisdom and knowledge for everybody attending, and to really start to step deeper into that remembering of the greatness of the miraculous nature of who we are. Already.
That's beautiful.
Already complete. Not never need to be fixed. That's been the lie. You know, you've been told we need to be fixed. You know, you're born into sin already. Fucked. I'm telling people that. Born into sin. I ain't gonna get into that.
Whole different conversation.
It is, and it could be quite lengthy. So.
No, I really appreciate your time here today, Anthony. For anybody out there watching, if you'd like to be interviewed, you feel like you want to step forward and share your own story vulnerably, feel free to hit me up at www.globalequineaffiliates.com. And you can also find me there for connection coaching if you'd like to have conversations with me too about any sort of help you need with emotional regulation, communication, boundaries, and having better relationships with yourself and other people, with or without horses, because horses are amazing.
Yes, yeah.
So everybody out there, thank you so much for watching. And Anthony, again, thank you so much for sharing your afternoon. Much love to you, my friends, and look forward to you and I someday getting to dance together in person. All right. See you later, everybody. Thank you.